Welcome back to everyone who's watching Mama Rwanda'S TV. You're going to be with me, Princess Mugisha. Let's start with the news headlines. Yves Radukunda appointed as the State Minister in the Ministry of ICT and Innovation. On the international scene, Guinea reaches the final day of referendum campaign with opposition missing. The United States broke the UN call for Gaza ceasefire for the 16th time. Let's take a short break to be back into the news details. Let's start to news in Rwanda, where President Paul Kagame has appointed new officials, including Yves Radukunda, who has been named the State Minister in the Ministry of ICT and Innovation. The appointments were announced in the statement released by the Office of Prime Minister on September 18, 2025. Before joining the cabinet, Radukunda has been serving as the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of ICT since 2020. Other appointees include Dieudonné Gatete, who was named Director of the Cabinet in the Office of the President. Vianney Mukakizimana was appointed Deputy Director of the Cabinet, while Ambassador Claude was named the Chief of Protocol in the OTP. In the Office of the Prime Minister, Minega Rugwabiza was appointed the head of the Delivery Unit. Among others, Ambassador Moses Rugema was named Rwanda High Commissioner to Nigeria, while Manishimwe was appointed Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure, replacing Giseli Umuhumuza, while Clement Kabugire was named Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Service and Labor. In the Ministry of ICT, Ereste was appointed Permanent Secretary, succeeding Yves Radukunda, who now joins the Cabinet as a State Minister. Tuyizere was appointed as a Vice Person of the National Commission for Human Rights, while Jimmy Christia was named Director General of the Rwanda Public Procurement Authority. Colonel Nkusi was appointed Deputy Director General of the Rwanda Utilities Regulatory Authority. Turning to our next story, the Secretary General of RPF Nkotanyi, whereas Gasamagera, has criticized the European Union Parliament for demanding that Rwanda release Victor Ingabire Umuhoza, saying such a call reflects misguided belief that Rwanda is one of their provinces. Gasamagera made these remarks during a meeting held on September 18, 2025, between Rwanda Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ambassador Olivier Nduhungirehe, and members of the National Consultative Forum of Political Organization. Ingabire, the founder of Darifa Umurinzi, has been in detention since June. She faces charges of attempting to undermine the government, spreading false information, and planning activities intended to incite public unrest. Her trial was scheduled to begin on September 2nd, but she rejected the panel of High Court judges assigned to her the case, claiming that she doesn't trust them to deliver justice, since it was the same panel that had previously requested investigation against her in case involving other members of Darifa Umurinzi. On September 11th, members of the AU Parliament demanded Ingabire and others facing similar charges to be released immediately, alleging that their cases were politically motivated. Mr. Nduhungirehe described the AU Parliament request as contemptuous, though not surprising since it was not the first time such a demand had been made while Ingabire was under detention. Gasamagera argued that AU Parliament action was not only disrespectful, but also reflected colonial mindset. Reminded that forum that when Ingabire Victoire was released in September 2018, it was through presidential pardon granted by President Paul Kagame after she had admitted her wrongdoing and pledged not to offend. Gasamagera stressed that those calling for her release endorsed her past action. Minister Nduhungirehe also highlighted that AU lawmakers rushed to conclusion while ignoring the basic legal principle that a person is considered innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. He noted that Ingabire has not yet gone through intensive trials, making the European Union Parliament intervention premature. Now let's turn our focus to this story where Rwanda Space Agents has partnered with Africa Risk Capacity and Africa Union agents to enhance disaster prevention and response through satellite technology. Under the agreement, the RSA will provide the ARC with analytic satellite data to help access and respond to risks such as droughts, frauds, and agricultural losses across Africa. This data will improve insurance models by offering accurate indicators for compensation, replacing traditional methods that were slow and prone to errors. The ARC, which has already disbursed by $242 million to the disaster-affected countries in the Southern and Eastern Africa, it is the RSA for its advanced space technology and reliable information. Rwanda, a member of ARC for nearly 13 years, has not yet accessed the RC funds due to technical requirements, but the partnership aims to bridge this gap and support programs like Rwanda's National Agriculture and Livestock Insurance Scheme, enabling faster and more precise disaster assessment and insurance payout to affected farmers and communities. Let's take a short break to be back into the international news.
Welcome to Albus.
Let's take a look into the international news, where the United States has on the 16th time voted a draft resolution that the United Nations Security Council that would have demanded an immediate and permanent ceasefire in the Gaza and the release of the hostages. Sandra Tumukund proceeds.
Starting international news, let's begin with African news. Guinea's capital buzzed with activities as campaigning closed Thursday ahead of referendum that could let the coup leaders seek for the presidency. Colonel Leading's legal concert and prayers were held in support of Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, the military leader who took the power 3 years ago. Policy and private buildings in Conakry were replaced with campaigning billboards. Roads were blocked by trucks filled with supporters' wear and Bubu's traditional West African flowing garments printed with Doumbouya's face. Only one thing was missing: the opposition or campaigning billboards, and the event urged people to vote in one way. The citizens of this cluster West African country will cast either yes or no ballot on Sunday on draft constitution, the key step in the transition from military towards civil. No campaigning is allowed on Friday and Saturday. A presidential election is expected. There are 6.7 million Igbo voters, and the referendum needs a voter turnout. Of at least 15% to pass. Turn on another story. The US has for the 60th time voted a draft resolution at the United Nations Security Council that would be demanded an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza and the release of hostages. The U.S. Deputy Middle East Envoy Morgan Ortega said the text did not go far enough in condemning Hamas or recognizing Israel's right to defend itself. All 14 other members of Security Council voted in favor of the draft resolution, which described the humanitarian situation in Gaza as catastrophic and called on Israel to lift all aid restrictions.
As we come to the end of the news edition of today, let's go back with the news headlines. Yves Dukunda appointed as the State Minister in the Ministry of ICT and Innovation. On the international scene, Guinea reaches the final day of the referendum campaign with opposition missing. The United States blocks the UN calls for Gaza ceasefire for the 16th time. Thanks for having me. Stay tuned.